Recyclico, making lithium-ion last forever. Recyclico's patented recycling process achieves up to 100% recovery of battery metals from lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, and aluminum. Recyclico Battery Materials Incorporated trades on the TSX Venture AMY, on the OTCQB AMYZF, and Frankfurt ID4. For more information, visit recyclicode.com or phone us at 778-574-4444. Recyclico, making lithium-ion last forever.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Sean Brodrick, senior editor at WeissRatings.com. He's speaking to us from Florida. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me on.
Is uranium remaining a bright and shiny place?
Oh, it sure is. I mean, recently there was a pullback, but it's up strongly again today, on the day you and I are speaking. Not uranium per se. I mean, that's really set by long-term prices, but uranium stocks.
Yeah.
But the uranium price, the spot price, is recently at $73.70, down from the $74 that it hit last week, but not by much. And in the meantime, we are seeing contract rates just go higher and higher, catching up to the spot price, because there were large stockpiles of uranium, but those have slowly dwindled away. There's more demand all the time, and people can see this big supply-demand squeeze coming. So that's why uranium is one of the best places to invest in the market right now.
Is there renewed demand because Fukushima coming back online, places like that, plus new plants planned in India and China?
That's a small part of it. Certainly China's planning at least new 32 nuclear reactors by the end of the decade, and they have plans in the planning stages for like 150 more. Japan is actually turning on some nuclear power plants again, and one of the things that really weighed on the price of uranium before was when Japan shut down all of its nuclear power plants, it then sold all the stockpiles it had for those nuclear power plants into the market. And so that depressed the price. At the same time, the megatons to megawatts program was going on, where they turned Russian nuclear warheads into nuclear fuel. And so for a while, it just wasn't worth anybody's effort to actually mine uranium. That's why so many mines shut in. But we don't have the megatons to megawatts program anymore. Japan is turning on nuclear power plants, so it went from a seller to a buyer. We have a shortfall this year from Cameco's operations. There is new supply coming into the market, but not enough to make up the 50 million pound per year gap between supply and demand globally that's happening every year now, and demand is growing by 5% per year. The thing about uranium and nuclear power is you can make long-term plans, because unless you're having like a Fukushima event, you can see what the demand will be. It takes a long time to build the new plant, so you can make plans. And what we're looking at now is we're looking at a long-term uranium supply-demand squeeze. And yeah, there are new mines coming online, but really not enough. So a lot of this is going to have to be resolved by price. I expect we'll see $100 per pound uranium, maybe next year, maybe the year after that, but it is coming. And so that's quite a move left in uranium, and definitely a move in stocks that either have production now or have near-term production, like within the next few years. I think those are the stocks people should be looking at.
What's going on with crude?
Well, crude had a horrible week. Turns out, remember when OPEC Plus said it was making all those production cuts? Well, they were pulling our legs. They didn't actually cut production that much. In fact, exports from from OPEC only down 500,000 barrels in, I think it was September from April, and it's supposed to be more than 1 million. So there's that. There's new production coming online from Brazil, new production from Guyana. Venezuela has come to terms with the U.S., so it'll start exporting, not a lot, but some oil to the U.S. And meanwhile, the U.S. oil production has hit its highest production level ever. So we have a lot more supply. At the same time, thanks to high interest rates, basically, that is the problem, high interest rates from central banks all around the world, that is slowing down the global economy. The U.S. economy is growing quite fast, actually, but the global economy is not. And so even though oil demand is increasing, it's not increasing at a pace fast enough to keep up with all this extra supply. So that was reflected in the market early this week, where things finally came to a head, and people said, there's just too much oil floating around. Now, the cure for low prices is low prices. We are now down officially below the price at which the U.S. government says it will buy oil to refill the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. That's $79 a barrel. So we can expect to see orders pick up for that. They'll be able to refill the SPR on the cheap, probably. And and also globally, the global economies are still growing, just not fast enough to keep up with all that extra supply, but they are growing. Oil demand is growing. So we've had a pullback in oil stocks. It's been painful, but I tend to buy the oil stocks that pay you to own them. So all this means is I have to wait longer. And if any of them get cheap enough, I might add 2 positions, because I'll be paid even more to wait for, prices to go higher again. So you have to be selective in oil right now. You really do. But the nice thing about a pullback like this is you get some real buying opportunities if you aren't already owning the stocks that you wanted to own.
We'll have more with Sean Brodrick right after this.
Recyclico, making lithium-ion last forever. Recyclico's patented recycling process achieves up to 100% recovery of battery metals from lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, and aluminum. Recyclico Battery Materials Incorporated trades on the TSX Venture AMY, on the OTCQB AMYZF, and Frankfurt ID4. For more information, visit recyclicode.com or phone us at 778-574-4444. Recyclico, making lithium-ion last forever.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Sean Brodrick. Sean, anything going on in the gold sector?
Oh, yeah. Well, I was at the New Orleans Investment Conference over the past weekend, and of course you expect people there to be bullish on gold. It's just kind of a bullish gold conference. But I'm hearing some things where things look pretty darn bullish. We are seeing more buying from the central banks around the world. It's actually approaching record levels. We're seeing more consumer buying in China, which can be the biggest gold buyer in the world. It fights for that title with India. We'll see how things go. And supply is just not there. You see the big gold companies buying up smaller ones because they aren't growing their own resources on their own. They have to buy more supply. I expect gold is going to head higher sooner than later. I only have a couple gold stocks in the Resource Trader portfolio right now, not a lot, but I may add more. There are some good companies out there trading at dirt cheap prices. So though gold doesn't look exciting to people, and really it hasn't gone anywhere since March, despite that, I think that there are some real attractive values in that industry. You just have to be really careful what you buy, because longer term, they're just going to pay off very, very well. So as long as you're selective, I think you can do quite well.
Anything going on with silver?
Yeah, kind of the same thing. In fact, precious metals companies that I'm looking at, I'm more interested in silver companies than gold, because there's so fewer of them, right? That's the thing. There are a bunch of gold miners, not as many as there used to be, but there are a bunch. but there are very few pure silver miners, or even ones that are majority silver. Silver mostly comes as a byproduct of other metals. So, yeah, I think there's some good silver potential. Now, when is the price of silver going to move? One thing that is weighing on it is we are seeing a slowdown in the solar industry right now, and that's a place which has industrial demand for silver for the solar panels. So maybe that's had a psychological effect on the market. I'm not really sure. Could be some other things as well, but silver is underperforming gold right now. It has to outperform gold. That's when we'll know we're in a real bull market, is when silver starts to go higher faster than gold does. We aren't there yet, but like I said, I think we're seeing some good setups here.
Mm-hmm. Anything happening with lithium?
When I included that in my presentation, I had a workshop at the New Orleans Investment Conference, and I said, don't buy lithium. Now, this comes from a guy who owns lithium stocks, and I talked to some great lithium companies. There are, I think, things that look like values out there, but right now, the problem is that the big battery companies in China are holding off on making new purchases. This has pushed the spot price down. One thing most people don't realize is lithium is sold under contract. The contract prices haven't changed. They're the same as they were. The spot price has gone way down, but it's not hurting those companies that can't produce right now. The fear is that there's going to be a lot more supply coming onto the market in the next few years. We'll have to see if that actually happens. I don't know if it will or not. I mean, at some point, new supply will come on. But my experience with mining projects is half of all mining projects have delays of some kind or another. So I think people should if they hold lithium stocks now, I'm not suggesting selling them because they're probably dirt cheap right now. And you can make a list of ones you want to buy, but I wouldn't be buying until the spot price starts to pick up again.
Anything going on in the marijuana space?
No. I mean, we keep hearing news of, oh, yeah, they're going to pass a bill, and then you see marijuana stocks pick up for, a few days, and then they say, oh, well, it's hard to get anything through Congress, and then the marijuana stocks fall down again. I would look other places for profit than that.
U.S. government, again, looks like it's coming close to a shutdown breaking point or point. How's that affecting business, or are people so used to a dysfunctional U.S. government now in Congress that just carry on? Doesn't matter what the government does. We have to look after ourselves.
Well, it's like driving home on a snowy road, and the guy driving the guy who is driving the car you're in, and you're in the way back, by the way, but the guy driving the car is drunk. So he's spun out a couple of times, nearly taken it off the road. But at this point, you're just used to it. You say, oh my God, this guy's a terrible driver, and he might kill us, but he hasn't killed us yet. And so I'm just going to try and chill out here in the back. And that's basically the attitude the market is taking. I believe that optimism that the drunk driver won't kill us may be a little misplaced, because they got a deal last time by the skin of their teeth, and the House of Representatives was completely dysfunctional. The Senate came to the rescue, passed a bill, and brought it over to the House and said, sign this, and we'll keep the government open a while longer. Well, the guy they made the deal with is gone now. And the guy running the House of Representatives, Mike Johnson, he's a nutbag. He really has a screw loose. So expecting him to do the right thing is, that seems like something that I wouldn't actually bank on. We could see the car go skidding off the road in the snow at this point. So I think the market should be more concerned about that. It isn't right now. I guess it'll be a problem when it's a problem.
Or perhaps the real government of the U.S. is big business and just let it carry on.
Yeah, but the thing is, Mike Johnson has so few ties to Wall Street. or anything else for that matter. The other speakers who were either in there or who were talked about being in there were big fundraisers. So that's one reason you become Speaker of the House, is because you know how to raise money. The reason you know how to raise money is because you can talk to these big corporations and say, you know, we need money here, we need money there, and you raise a lot of cash, and that's why everyone likes you. This guy was chosen because he had no record, he had no history, so he was the least offensive to everybody involved. But he doesn't have those connections, and he doesn't have that history and that institutional knowledge that other people do. Therefore, that scares me quite a lot. Now, you know what? It can still work out. It has every time before. Every time you think the car is going off the road, it somehow comes back on. I can see why people are a little complacent about this. And maybe it will work out. Just because I say the odds are worse now doesn't mean that, you know, bad things have to happen. But the odds are higher that something bad will happen.
Yeah, when you said a drunk driver, it just reminded me of the joke, I want to die peacefully in my sleep like my grandfather, not kicking and screaming like the rest of the people that were in the car he was driving.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's a good one.
WeWork declaring bankruptcy, is that kind of a proxy for the shape of the U.S. Commercial real estate business right now?
Commercial real estate is in real trouble. That was one of the things I had in my presentation. I am not a buyer of any REITs right now, especially commercial REITs, because there is some real trouble underneath the surface there. And we are probably going to see a lot more bankruptcies, not less. How that affects the whole economy, I don't know, but I would definitely stay away from commercial real estate right now. Now, that said, one reason that we've seen markets bounce in November is because the market believes that the Fed has blinked on interest rates. The market believes that we are going to see the Fed lower interest rates sooner than later. I believe that might be misplaced, but that's what the optimism is. Maybe they're right. Maybe the Fed will start to lower interest rates. If they do, that will help commercial real estate. But I wouldn't bet on it until you see it.
Sean, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Thanks for having me on.
My guest has been Sean Brodrick, Senior Editor at WeissRatings.com. If you have any questions for Sean or for any of our guests, you can send them to info@HowStreet.com. We'll ask that question for you. Our popular YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. Find us on X @HowStreet. We're also on Facebook. I'm Jim Goddard. Thank you for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.